Okay, let's take a look at Santa Anita for Saturday. I have a few plays throughout the card. You can pull up the daily racing form past performances at DRF.com. Those are the ones that I'm always using when I'm doing the handicapping and the videos and the podcast and all the segments. And I think we can get a play right off the bat on Saturday in race number 1, the number 6 TikTok Famous. Sort of look at the form of this one coming in. TikTok Famous is a horse who has been in some tough races. What I like about this mare is she seems like she was a little unlucky in that she would be able to race once or twice and then need some time off. Race once, need some time off. Race once or twice. It's hard to get really fit when that happens. And horses are all different. Some of them need time off in between a lot of their starts. I personally love when you see a horse like this that has a lot of gaps once they're able to string races together. I always feel like you're just going to get a more fit animal overall. And I think that'll be the case with TikTok Famous. She showed a little more speed in her last 2 races than she had for the bulk of her career, where she was a little bit more of a tracking type. I just like that it seems she has some versatility now. You get Jose Valdivia Jr. aboard, who is usually a little more patient overall. And I just think she's coming out of some strong races. The February 3rd race was her first start for Papa Padromo, and it was the first start since September. So it was a race that she probably needed. She's a little fresh. She showed speed that day. And look at some of the horses that she ran into. Macadamia, who came back to run second in the graded stakes race. Buzz of New York, who came back to win next time out and was very, very sharp before stepping up into graded stakes company, and lost in the grade 3 Santa Ana to Ballet Dancing, who is also in that race. So this is a strong race. It's an allowance race that we've seen a graded stakes winner and another graded stakes placed horse already come back out of. And then she steps up in the Buena Vista and is behind Quattrell, Macadamia. Closing Remarks was in there. Closing Remarks comes out of that race after finishing 3rd. She wins the grade 2 Royal Heroine in her next start. So TikTok Famous coming out of some strong races. She's shown a little bit of speed in each of them, but we know she can sit off the pace too. She'll be making the 3rd start of her form cycle, getting a little bit of class relief. Didn't really love anyone else in here. And I feel like if she's 7-2, should be a really nice price for her chances of winning this thing. TikTok Famous, Phenom will be flashing some speed here. TikTok Famous. If you have a group of horses that are going to be shorter prices than her, maybe the 1, the 4, and the 5. So we could have the 4th choice in this small field here. If you're playing like multi-exotics, that could go a long way. So anything in that, 3-1 plus, that's value for me on TikTok Famous in the opener on Saturday. Let's go to the 6th race. Down the hill. And I'm going to go to the outside here. There are 2 horses that I think are interesting if you want to talk about exotics. And you can make a case for a lot in here. Unbridled Mary is very talented. One Silk Stocking, super talented. Kitty Katano got pulled up last time out, and she'll take a bunch of money here. So I'm not sure if you want to take her at this price. She's burned money. She's been your favorite in 3 of the last 4 starts, and she's won one of those races. Now, I do think the 5 might be the quickest in here. So if anyone can catch a flyer, Princess Adelie will try the turf for the first time. There's not an overwhelming turf pedigree, at least direct turf pedigree here. But she should be fine on the grass. And if she's able to get the lead after having just won at 7 furlongs, she could be tough to run down. The horse to the outside pressing her, though, Pammy's Ready, I think fits pretty well. She'll go second start back. She's drawn well to the outside. Down the hill is where you want to be. She can sit close. She was right on the lead in her last race. It was just a small field. So those really small fields sometimes can be a little deceiving because everybody has to be a little bit closer. And she's sort of in the 3 path. She moved up to second in the 2 path. So she has 2 races at 6.5 furlongs down the hill. The last time we saw her down the hill, she was second, beaten the neck in a stakes race at 20-1. She ran awesome that day. The other time was the last race right before a long layoff. And so she didn't run well that day, but she had legitimate traffic trouble, sort of just got backed up. And then we didn't see her for 6 months. So that was probably a race with a legitimate excuse. I think the downhill layout fits her pretty well. Pammy's ready, the number 7 in race number 6. She's 5-1 on the morning 9. We need at least about 7-2 here for Pammy's ready. Let's move to race number 7. So I thought there were a couple interesting prices to use in here. The number 5 Tenacious Lady. Look at her races against maiden claimers. The first 2, they were not bad. She was beaten a couple lengths, finishing 3rd in a field of 11 at Churchill. Comes back at Del Mar. She's favored. Slow start, but she's still close up. In both of those sprint races on the dirt, she was not far out of it early. She's off for a few months, shows back up going long on the turf, just misses the break. And that's the concern that we have, is that now we've seen about 3 times where she's been her own worst enemy at the start. But if we watch her most recent race, she was the 10 in this race we're going to watch. And she's the 10 out here. And she doesn't have a bad start, right? She's not far off. She's right with the group. But all the horses to her inside are going to go, and she's way out wide. What is she going to do? Be 7 wide and just keep going? She has to take back a little bit. I think there's a little more speed, and because she's not drawn so wide this time, they may be able to use it. The number 5, Tenacious Lady, is going to be in some of the exotics for me. I thought the 3, with the blinkers on, we know she's really quick, and she'll put 2 starts together now. She was racing at Gulfstream at Churchill, came over to Santa Anita off the bench, showed speed, faded like we would have expected. Could she be a little bit sharper now? And the 2 is probably the horse to beat, in my opinion, this first-time starter for John Sadler. The Dam won the debut. Magical Touch, she won 3 of 4. This is the first foal that she's produced to race. And I will say the barn has been struggling a little bit with first-time starters, though. So when you check out the last 5 years of first-time starters for Sadler, I always like to get a big sample size and then a smaller sample size. So you get the big sample size first. Last 5 years, 15%. 23 for 156. Then let's shrink it down a little bit. Let's go first-time starters over the last 1 year. And we have 2 for 32. So the barn's struggling a little bit. Look at the recent first-time starters. Second, third, second, just in the last 10. So while struggling, maybe unlucky is a better way of describing it, right? Because a lot of these horses are firing, especially recently. And if just 2 or 3 of them win, all of a sudden those numbers look a lot better and probably closer to where they are in the bigger sample. So that's the 2. Gray Magic. There's a couple horses I was looking at in this race. It's a pretty contentious race, though, to be honest. I mean, the 7 fits with the group. The 8, it's a really good spot for a barn who is due for a little bit of luck, right? They've had a lot of slices so far at the meet. But this is a maiden who's been facing winners, and this is no doubt the softest spot that she's going to be in. And the only other time she was in a dirt sprint, which was on January the 2nd, she was in a bad spot down on the inside and clipped heels. So it's really tough to use that race only as a gauge for her. Kind of a fun race. It's a lower level race, right? It's just a maiden 20 claimer, but I think you can make a case for a couple prices. 5-3, the 2 looks live, and then towards the outside, neither one of them would shock. So let's get to, where do we want to finish up? Race number 10 for my final play. I I thought if you're looking at some of these later races too, I was pretty captain obvious in the 8th. I thought the 3 would be tough with the 6, and the 9 just really couldn't make cases for anything more than what would be the top choices there. And then the Californian, I don't know. I can't find a way to get past the funded. I'm always trying to. I just don't love the prices on the other possibilities. Can maybe a Parnelli or a Royal Ship win this race? Sure, with their best effort. But Royal Ship's going to be the second choice and probably like 5-2 or 3-1. With his recent form, it's really hard to trust him at that type of a price. You'd want a little more. And for Parnelli, he's going to have to run the best race he's ever run in his life to compete, and you're not going to get all that much rewarded. The 4 probably pushes the pace. Mr. Impossible, yeah, he's nice. He's stepping forward. This is probably a tough spot for him with Defunded, with an A game from Defunded. Does a horse like Kiss Today Goodbye get the type of setup with a career, one of his better efforts? He has a couple that would fit. Just seems like Defunded gets the rail draw. He's probably the fastest. He's definitely the classiest. It's not a race that I'm going to be getting involved in all that much. I don't see much price opportunity. The last race is kind of a fun one. You can make a case for the 2 O'Banion. He had a slow start when he debuted in Ireland. He was down towards the rail, kind of shifted around, and he tipped out late in between. Not a bad effort. Now he's in the D'Amato barn. Adventuresome is a first-time starter. The Dam was a 3-time winner. Half to a 6-time turf winner. You can get all that just by clicking real quick. Dam, 3 for 4, won the first 3 starts. And then you see Watch Your Own Bobber was a 6-time winner on the turf, was multiple stakes winner, was a graded stakes placed turf runner. And nobody else tried the turf of the direct siblings. I guess Mr. Cheerful tried it twice, but we didn't see a whole lot of turf from any of the others. No real turf success. So for me, the horse that I think is going to get a really good trip in here is the 4, Vegas Burner. He has 2 turf races. His first turf start was a really good race. It was his career best. He finished second. The horse who won that day, named Valiancer, he came right back to win his next start. And then he came back after that to finish third in a stakes race. That's a nice horse he was behind. In the 4th place finisher that day, she won their next start in a Calbred maiden special weight race and earned a 78 Beyer speed figure in doing so. So the race has come back very strong. March the 4th, he's on a good turf course, and he just has a wide trip. But in here, he's the speed drawn most inside. He comes out running. He could be pretty tough. I think the 4 and the 6 will be my top horses in here. The 4 is the horse I'll play if we can get about 5-1 or so. The 6 acquired class, he was in a tight spot. He was buried down on the inside without a ton of room. He split horses late. Now he adds the blinks. He goes second start off the long layoff. For me, he's really hard to leave out. So I have 4-6 as the top tier. 12, Smooth as Usual, is a first-time starter. The Dam was a winner sprinting on the turf. And this guy's a full sibling to Smooth Like Straight. He's a full bro. Smooth Like Straight has earned $1.8 million. This is a grade 1 winner who won the Shoemaker Mile. We've seen him finish second in the Breeders' Cup Mile. So nice pedigree there, just a tough post position for the 12 to debut. The 2 was the wild card who I mentioned coming in from Ireland. The race wasn't bad, and looks like they're perking this one up in the mornings a little bit. The 5 wouldn't shock me that much either. This horse was down towards the inside in that race in Dundalk earlier this year, and solid gallop out, was not beat a whole lot in that race. Now gets Lasix for the first time. So I sort of stacked them in here. 4-6 was my top tier. 12-2 would be the next horses I'm looking at. 3-5 would be the next group. Vegas burner, the play if we can get 5-1. Best of luck on Saturday at Santa Anita. Don't forget about those free pick'em contests at Santa Anita, pick'em.santaanita.com. Totally free to enter. $500 to the winner. And they're combinations of questions involving the Santa Anita Saturday card and some of the NBA games, some baseball games, hockey games. They're cross-sport props. A lot of fun, free to enter, $500 to the winner. Pick'em.santanita.com. Check them out there. Good luck on Saturday.